Go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, Linlin and I will present about diagnose and repair with the AU44VX. The radio number is T02, and we are from International 9 Group. So next please. Our content including introduction, procedure, solution, test, conclusion, references, and question. Now I will pass to Linlin.
The car is very old. When the customer delivered the car to us, there's a lot of dust cover on the car. The customer didn't touch the car for over one year, and he complained that the car can't start now. And me and my partner checked the car. We used the multimeter to test the battery. Found that the voltage is very low, and it's a flat battery. And we also checked the ECU. It has been damaged, and some wires is broken. So we charged the battery for over one night, but it still can't work. So this battery actually is a new one, but the old one actually is can't work, and we can see the wires is messy, and some wires have been damaged, and the ECU also can't work, is damaged. So next step. So for this car, our purpose is that we need to let the car start again. So if we want to achieve the purpose, the car must have some basic function. It must have a good battery, and the release and the fuse must good, and the wires and the connection must good, and the ECU should work normally, and the EFI system and ignition system must be good. After me and my partner discuss, we decided to rebuild the wiring circuit. We must to replace the ECU module, and we need to get a working battery or a new battery. And after all, we must to test all of the sensors. So that's first, we decided to rebuild the wiring loop. We follow the hotel wiring diagram to. Firstly, we marked the wires. We organized the wires, and we rebuild the terminal. Some terminal we need to use the solder to solder them. So yeah, we must do that. From picture we can see that this one is the tubing. There's some cable ties and terminals. Because when we rebuild the wire circuit with for example the injector wiring is close to the engine bay. If the engine starts, it's very hot. The temperature is very hot. So we need to use the tubing to protect the wires, and we also need to use the cable ties to fix the tubing and some wires to. Yeah, we need to fix it on the chassis. Yeah, that's the step. So next turn my partner.
Okay, I'm back. Now I'm talking about find out the sensors. So like Linlin said, it's all the injector is under the engine manifold. It's close to the engine bay for the running the temperature is very hot, so that's why we use a turbine. So now we remove the air intake manifold just to repair the injector, the whole wiring, and repair the sensor plugs. So the first is the coolant temperature sensor. We found the wiring is too short. We can't connect it together. The wiring not longer enough. So we rebuilt the wiring and the plugs. And the TPS just one terminal working. And the came and the current sensor is same like the coolant temperature sensor. And the idle motor is same like TPS. The injector is not longer enough. So we rebuilt the injector, the wiring and the plug and the terminal connector. So next we follow the hotel wiring diagram and connect all the wirings with sensors and connect all the plugs. And after that, we estimate the air intake sensor compass, and then and next we test because before start the vehicle we have to test, make sure all the components, all the electrical components and the mechanical components should be working well. So we use a multimeter test the battery, because the new battery is around 12 volt, and we connect the ECO, all the loops, check the supply voltage is around 12 voltage, and we use the test light to check the fields and the relay as well. It's all the fields and relay working well, and we check the sensor supply with Earth. Is the Earth voltage is around 0, and let's look at the coolant temperature sensor. Is the specification is around 5 voltage. We got the result is near 5 voltage, and the map sensor is the supply is 12 switched is 12 voltage. So we got 11 point something like is also near 12 volt, and the chassis ground and the map signal is around 0 voltage. Next page, please. And let's check the air temperature sensor. Its signal ground is 0, and the supply voltage is around 5, the specification, but we got the result is nearly 5 voltage, so that's fine. And the idle value valve is supply switched is supply is 12 voltage. And next page, please. And the throttle position sensor. We got 3 pins. One is the TPS signal, one is the vehicle reference voltage, one is the signal return. Is supply is around 5 voltage. We got a result is 4.8 something like that. Is near 5 voltage. That means it's fine. And the TPS signal is around 0. Yeah, the signal ground same like signal. It's the voltage is around 0 voltage. Next page, please. Now I will pass to Linlin.
So we test all of the sensors, but we found that the TPS sensor has some problem. In specification, when the throttle is at the idle position, the voltage should from 0.5 to 1 watt. And if the throttle is fully open, it's around 5 watts. But actually result, we found that when the throttle is idle at idle position, the data is 5 watts, and when the throttle fully open, the data is 0.5 to 1 watt. So it means maybe we connect the wires to the wrong terminal. So, after that, we decide to swap the wires and rebuild the terminal, connect the sensor again. We test that the result is within the specification, so that the TPS was ready. Next step we set we use the computer to set the ECU. We set the ignition order and injection order, and we set the working condition of the fan. When the coolant achieve 80 degrees, the fan can work. And we also set the TDC offset angle is 50 degrees. We set ground references is disabled, and we set offset minimum RPM is 750 RPM. So next is Eric.
And again. Now we talk about the crank but not stop. Like before I said, it's a new battery, so 100% of battery voltage is fine. So, but we still make sure it's correct. We still double check the voltage. It's around 12 volts. And next we check the fuel pressure sensor. It's the specification is 30 to 36 psi, but we got result is from the computer is 33 psi. So this means fine. And the ignition puzzle, we use noise lights, check all the injectors, the noise light is working very well. So that means ignition is fine. And we also use the spark plug tester. We test the spark plug. All the spark plugs working well. So next step, we follow the workshop manual and check the, and also we got the advice from the lecture. And we check the crank and the cam sensor pin. And use the pico. The first time we follow the Houghton wiring diagram, check the voltage from when we crank, we check the crank voltage and the cam voltage. We found the result is not really correct. That's why I say not really correct, because if we follow the Houghton wiring diagram, the crank should be 0 to 1 crank should be 4 volts, something like that. And the cam should be 2 volts, I remember, should something like that, yeah. But when we crank our car, the crank sensor voltage is around 2, and the cam sensor voltage is around 0 to 4 voltage. So we discussed and asked the lecturer. The reason maybe is the crank sensor and the cam sensor wiring diagram was wrong. We should swap them. So we rebuilt the crank and the cam sensor, the plug, and all the terminal and the plug, and put it back. We restart. Yeah, the car was running well. So next step is we should set in the timing. Let Linlin do it.
I should have been videoing this, right?
Yeah, I got video.
Oh, cool.
I try to read.
Timing is a final step. Maybe we use the timing gun to find out the mark on the pulley, and we set in the computer, and the ignition timing is 15 degrees in advance. So next step is conclusion. After we repair the car, it can start. We achieved our purpose, and we found that all of the parts is important for our car. We can't miss anyone. So from this work, we have improved our theories, knowledge, and practical skills. So that's a good project. These are the references.
Yeah, the references from the Houghton website and Auto Data. And also got some references from the workshop for AU for the Falcon workshop manual, but we didn't put on because it's picture, so we just put two websites.
Yeah.
So that's all. Thank you.
Well
everyone.
done, guys.